Good morning, everybody. A warm welcome out of quite a cloudy Johannesburg area. I hope everybody is settled in, and I think, Steve, are you there? Maybe you want to also just say a word or two?
Yeah, morning everybody from a very wet Durban, and I've got the sniffles and the flu, but yeah, warm welcome to this Monday morning, and Gerry, lock and load, eh?
All right, guys. So, guys, what we're going to talk about today is the cost of non-compliance to your business. So I think let's jump right in there. And the topics that we are going to talk about is why do we need to issue a notice of non-compliance? What is the potential cost to the business of not issuing a non-compliance notice? The benefits of identifying non-compliances and issuing a non-compliance notice. And then lastly, what can you do as the business owner to get on top of all of these things? So let's go to the next one, or the first one. Why do we need to issue a notice of non-compliance? Now, we normally refer to the SANS code, but in this instance, I think it's important to also have a look at what the Water Services Act has said, as amended on the 8th of June 2001. And in clause 14 there, it says that every consumer installation must comply with SANS 10252, which is obviously part 1 and 2 included, which is the water supply and drainage for buildings, and SANS 10254, which is the installation of fixed electrical water heating system. So that in itself, I think, will clear up a lot of questions that we've had in the past. So when was this made compulsory, or when was this enforced, or why is this a new thing that's on there? So it's not really a new thing, guys. It's been there for a long time. The only thing that did happen is in 2017 we realized that not everybody is looking specifically at the geyser situation, at doing what we need to do, and that's when the SANS 10254 made it basically compulsory to issue a COC for electrical geyser installations. Then the next thing I think is important here is clause 16, which specifically says, or directs us towards the reporting of a non-compliance. And it says a water services institution, and in this instance, we would look at PIRB, must have a consumer service to which non-compliance with these regulations can be reported. And guys, if we look at that, then we will realize that we as service providers, as plumbers, we've got basically something that we need to do. It's compulsory. We need to inform the consumer of these non-compliances. And let me not run ahead. Let's go forward to the next one. Then if we look at notifying the consumer or the owner of potential risks of the non-compliance, it needs to be done in writing as it's been stipulated in SANS 10254, clause 4.3.1.2, where it specifically says the installer or the repairer or the person that does the maintenance must notify the owner or the responsible person of that installation in writing of non-compliances. And then the next reason why, or the next reason why we need to do a non-compliance is to obviously, guys, in the end, it is to indemnify yourself as the plumber or the installer of any future claims caused by failures of non-compliant items. In other words, if there is something on the installation that does not comply, and you have notified the owner or the consumer in writing, and there's a failure due to that non-compliant item that you have noted, then you will be indemnified. Now, there is a range of things that can happen, as we all know, such as injuries to the consumer or the occupant of the property, damage to the property, and then also where warranties and insurance claims are voided due to non-compliance. And we all know that specifically when it comes to manufacturers, there is a standard installation specification in most cases regarding the manufacturer, where they say the installation must comply with the applicable SANS codes, in most instances either 10252 or 10254. So they may void a warranty claim if the installation does not comply. Now, if you did not notify this owner or this consumer, you might be held liable for the repairs and or replacement of that particular item. And then also the insurance guys are also now catching up onto this. So guys, please, let's have a look at this. Make sure that you do that. It's quite obvious that not everybody is up to date and understand what's going on in the SANS codes. So if you do not have the SANS codes and if you don't have access to that, how do you actually inform your installers or your plumbers that's got feet on the ground as to what is the correct thing, number one? Number two, how would you be able to inform the client if there's something wrong? And this is really a big point of concern. Steve, I don't know if you want to maybe just add in something there quickly.
Yeah, thanks, Kerry. I think it's, this sort of webinar this morning stems from our discussions that we had with the Free State region, which basically, if you look at the percentages, it's much the same, and that's why we're taking to putting this together today, in that a lot of the auditors that, when they're going out to do the audits, what you've been talking about this morning with regards to not notifying the consumer in the correct manner or not obtaining the non-compliance notices is shared. So basically, we're sitting in a national forum now, and we've got the same percentages in terms of those that are utilizing the standards, and secondly the non-compliance notice, which was basically put together for geysers to assist the plumber in terms of meeting the requirements of the SANS codes by informing the consumer in writing and in the appropriate manner. We have seen some individuals that have made some great efforts in terms of creating their own non-compliance notices, but they've fallen rather short in terms of some aspects of the standards, which in itself becomes a problem, in that, with now having to go back to the consumer after you've issued the non-compliance notice, you're having to go back and say, oh, by the way, there's an additional item that should have been covered, which in itself becomes a challenge. It's something that, some of the consumers get rather flustered with, in that they understand the notice that was given. And then the question then arises as to, now, why am I being told about this? Why was I not done or informed of this, right at the get-go when you issued the first notice? So that in itself becomes a negative for the plumber or for the company in terms of advising the consumer in writing with regards to the possibilities of non-compliance. So I think it's something that we need to work on, Ferry, in one way or another, in terms of trying to get this across, that we need to do as much as possible, with the tools that we have, to ensure that it doesn't cost us additional money or time, travel, or inconvenience or botheration when it comes to the non-compliance notice. Ferry?
Sure. Guys, yeah, so if we move on right to the next one, let's look at just basic costs. What will it cost the business for not, number one, identifying non-compliances, and number two, not issuing the non-compliance notice? Now, first of all, if we look just at the basic costs, I mean, if you need to return to an installation the second time, in my opinion, the moment you start that bucking, you are losing money and your profit is out the window. So if we just look at a basic, simple thing regarding the cost of that, let's call it travel cost, or that call out, or that attendance to this issue, and I've just put random figures here together quickly on the side. Just if we do looking at fuel, to go back, let's say it's going to cost you maybe 100 Rand, maybe 50 Rand if you're lucky. The cost of labor, most of the time you have 2 or 3 guys in the bucket needing to go back. And if you're lucky enough to get away with, let's say, 100 Rands labor for that hour or 2 hours that it takes, then time. due to the fact that these guys are now going back to an installation, they won't be able to go to the next one. So in my opinion, then you are losing double on the labor. And then obviously, if we look at the call out fee that you might have charged for the next call. So, quite easily, just in a monetary value, you would be able to, or you stand to lose between 800 to 1,000 rand just for doing that. Which I think, doesn't sound like a lot of money for a lot of people, but I think every 1,000 rand that you lose in your business, if this happens once a day or twice a week or 3 times a week, it will eventually have quite an impact. So have a look at those things. Then we also look at the cost of claims due to failures. If we did not identify and tell the consumer of this, you might be liable for the cost of injuries caused to the consumer or the occupants of the property, the damage to the property that was caused. And then, as I said earlier, if there's a warranty that's voided or insurance claim that's voided, you might be held liable to cover the costs of this entire installation. And guys, this can be quite substantial. I can tell you guys, I know of a specific instance where a person made a mistake a couple of years ago with a TP discharge, which they let into the drip tray on a solar installation. And over the period of December, obviously you cannot switch off the sun. This thing was heating up all the time, eventually melting the drip tray. Short and sweet, the cost of damages to the property was in excess of 2 million rand, which that plumber had to fork out to get sorted out. Now, obviously, guys, that also connects to your business's reputation. Now, you only need one of these incidents to reflect negatively on your business, which will obviously have other financial complications. So people will stop phoning you, people will stop using you because they just simply do not trust you. So you will create distrust in the consumers, in the suppliers that supply you, as well as insurance companies and other people that you are in business with. So I cannot stress enough how important it is to look at all of these things and to make sure that you actually notify and identify these things. And then obviously legal fees when it comes to court cases. So guys, this can turn out to be quite a big sum. So let's move on. Let's see what are the benefits. Benefits of identifying a non-compliance and issuing the non-compliance notice. First of all, the opportunity to upsell by informing the consumer of the risks and or the benefits of correcting installation. Everybody is quick to when we look at a geyser installation to say there's no lagging. Number one, a lot of the people out there do not understand what are we talking about. What is lagging? And then I found instances where the people even misspell that and it says lagging. Now, if we do not explain to the customer, if we do not have the ability to make him understand what the benefits of these are, then obviously he's going to let it pass. He's going to say, no, it's not important. So it is important that you understand and that your staff and the installers understand what does it mean and how to explain to the client what are the risks, if there's any risks involved, and or what are the benefits. And if I'm convinced that if you can cross that bridge, you will have more business coming in. You will be able to sell that guy right there while the people are on site. You'll be able to get this done, do an extra sale, which will obviously increase your profitability, number one. Number two, it will improve your business's reputation, where these guys will say, you know what, standing at the bright, if you're looking for a plumber, you must contact ABC. These guys, they know what it's all about, and they give you the whole picture. They help you, they improve your situation. So that's what you want. And another point there is also the education of the consumer. We are forever complaining to say that the consumers do not know what it's about. They go into builders and they buy stuff just because they think it's fancy. They don't understand, and that's where we need to play a big role, is to educate the consumer and the public out there as to what are the risks involved of buying stuff and getting a so-called plumber standing outside with a carton box with a torch and a pipe cutter, who calls himself a plumber. We need to, and it's our responsibility, I think, is also to educate the public, make them understand how important it is to use a qualified and a licensed person. And then obviously the portrayal of your professionalism, which in the end will all calculate into growth of your business. So I think if we just have a look at these couple of points, there are ways to improve. There are ways to improve your business, your profitability, and in the same breath, you also inform people and you help them. And I think that is important. So let's move on. Let's look at what can you as the business owner do to get this done. Number one, and as we had a look at the polls earlier, there's obviously a big gap there that needs to be filled, is ensure the availability and the knowledge of your SANS codes, the bylaws and the manufacturer specifications. Guys, I cannot stress this point enough. You need to know what you are talking about. And you must also be aware that a lot of the consumers out there now in the electronic era that we are in, they jump on Google quickly. What does Google say about this fact? Now, if you cannot prove them wrong by means of your SANS code, then you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a challenge. You won't be able to convince this person. So I cannot stress this point enough. Make sure that you get the SANS codes, stay up to date. Keeping up to date with the new trends and the amendments of these codes, equally important. It's no use to say in 2002, that's what they said. That doesn't help us. We're in 2020 already, so you need to keep up to date. Then utilizing the IOPSA non-compliance notice. Guys, it's out there. It's available. It's on the website. On the website, in the shop, it will cost you 50 Rand to download this notice once. Once you've downloaded, you can reprint it 1,000 times if you want to. And also maybe a good tip there is to use that non-compliance, print it out, laminate it, give it to your installers. Put it in their hands so that, number one, they've got a reference point so they can have a look through there and see if there's anything that they're missing, number one. Number two, it will then give them the opportunity to explain to the client, tell him what are the risks. Then, connected to that is to upskill and inform your installers and your admin staff. They need to understand what these things are about. You need to train them, guys. There's just not enough training being done out there right now. What we do find is that on a day like today, we have business owners, but not all of the information is getting through to the installers and the staff with the feet on the ground. And I think that's something that we need to attend to very urgently. Your installers and your staff, your admin staff, let them or get them to attend the webinars, the breakfast talks, the toolbox talks, and the plumbers meeting. It's there, it's out there, guys. It will take half an hour, maybe an hour, but you know what? I would rather spend an hour training my staff and upskilling them than to not do it, because that hour that you did not spend might cost you quite a substantial amount. And as I say, I cannot stress enough, continuous training is of utmost importance. And I always say, the day you stop learning, that is the day you must sit back and realize I've got a problem. I need to know, why is this happening to me? And the same with you. You need to talk to your staff. You need to get them upskilled. So guys, I think that's basically my talk for today. Yeah, maybe just a last word to say, guys, please take these things as hard. Let's see if we can help you to improve your business. And if there's anything we can do, you've got the numbers, you've got the email addresses and the websites. Please keep in contact. Let's see how we can assist you. And then other than that, stay safe, be out there and do what you need to do. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, I think Gerry, I think it's a very important one, and thank you very much for today, and to Karim for what we're putting together. And I think that the key thing is with the business 101 is to try and find those opportunities and obviously threats, and we're both very close to the coalface when it comes to this. And really what we want at the end of the day is for the plumber and for the plumbing business to benefit and boom. And again, if there's sufficient questions coming through, we can certainly extend it if that is the wishes of those that are in attendance today. But Gerry, Karim, thank you very much. I think we're really positive, and we'll touch base and see if there's sufficient questions and more that are coming through, maybe to extend. But thank you.